Welcome back to Heal My Cosmos. I'm Jenny Lee, and we are going over the Gemini new moon forecast at 24 degrees of Gemini on June 14th, 2026. So let's get right to it. So, Mercury is the ruler of the new moon in Gemini because Mercury rules Gemini. Gemini is a mutable air sign. So it is about communication and adaptability and relentlessly seeking information, which makes them want to have conversations because they want all the details, right? And so this new moon is a fresh start and a moment of pure potential for our minds and our nervous system, right? Because Gemini is very mentally active and also connects with the nervous system, right? So if we are too mentally active, if we are overstimulated, our nervous systems feel that, and we don't have a sense of internal safety because we're just overstimulated and not in the present moment. So, if you have most likely felt like you've been sprinting through Gemini season, never mind 2026, this is your call to sit down and allow your mind to rest and to settle into the void of nothingness that is the new moon, so that you can come back to curiosity about what really matters to you and not just any random thing in your feed. Like every new moon, we have the sun representing the life force of the current moment, working together with the moon, connecting us with how we feel about the current moment. And in Gemini, it's about analyzing our feelings and not actually feeling them. At this later degree point of 24 degrees of Gemini in the third decan of the first air sign of the zodiac, this is overstimulation at the max. And we all need social media breaks pronto at this point in Gemini season. So the sun and the moon in Gemini are sextile Eris and Aries. So there are several sextiles in the new moon chart this time around. And sextiles are opportunity aspects. It's very important to know about them because if we don't consciously use them, they can get ignored or skipped over, right? And so it's important that we're aware of the opportunities or the sextiles at play during this new moon. So there are ample opportunities for soul growth because of all the sextiles. When the sun and the moon in Gemini form a sextile to Eris, this asteroid point in Aries, we must be careful not to allow ourselves to fixate on creating stories about others that may or may not be true, right? So the sun and the moon in Gemini pack a pretty powerful punch of wanting to know details about others, wanting to know the story of others, wanting to know the gossip, right? And so that's a lot of energy. And then the opportunity with Eris is asking us to not get lost in trying to create a story that may or may not be there, that didn't come from the source, right? That didn't actually come from the person. So this is a call to come out of the mind and into the body and decide where you want to put your mental energy at this point that actually feeds who you are. So asking yourself where can I just be myself? Right? Where can I just be myself without casting myself a role in anyone else's story, right? Asking yourself that question. This is your show. Look around and notice who is here for it, right? Who is here for your show? Like really present without any personal gain for them. Who is really present in your life? Who is really showing up in your life? Eris can bring up where we have been othered or cast into a role that doesn't actually fit who we are and doesn't feel authentic to us. In the sextile with the luminaries in Gemini, right, the sun and the moon, we look to our social world to see where we can just be ourselves and where there is perhaps a different expectation from others that we have become accustomed to. So the sun and the moon are also opposing, right? Dark moon Lilith in Sagittarius. Gemini and Sagittarius are polarity signs. So with oppositions, there is always a challenge to embrace polarity within us as we witness it around us, right? So this opposition is likely to activate sacred rage within you, right? Because that's what Dark Moon Lilith does. She activates our sacred rage. And what makes it sacred? It's the rage that we get to feel, right? All rage is sacred when we look at it through the lens of, oh yeah, this is coming from somewhere. This isn't just random. And let me take a moment to identify where it's coming from so that I'm not trying to blame another source for the anger, right? So when rage gets triggered in us, it's an invitation into our own alchemy process. It is our subconscious wanting to create space for contrast. Ask yourself, what is on the other side of this rage? If you're willing to cross that bridge of alchemy by acknowledging your anger and being curious about what it's actually about, that's where the alchemy can occur, right? Just being in that state of curiosity and acknowledging and being honest with yourself, right? So with Gemini and Sagittarius, alchemy being activated, it's most likely about bringing in deeper personal witnessing to your own mental processes and looking at how your beliefs were formed in the first place, right? So Sagittarius connects us with our belief systems. Gemini connects us with facts, new information, right? And so that's why they're polarity, because one wants to just stay in a belief, the other one wants to stay curious. And both of them, without each other, without finding some sort of a balance, can leave us unsatisfied. So considering that in your own world, we also have the planet Mercury, right? Our messenger planet that is ruling this new moon in Gemini. Mercury is in the sign of Cancer, the sign after Gemini, in a sextile and opportunity aspect with Mars, our go-getter, action-oriented planet, in the sign, the earth sign of Taurus, right? So this grounded Taurus energy. Mercury in Cancer is where we process our personal feelings and try to communicate them. Mars in Taurus is where we take grounded action that stabilizes us. The opportunity with these two planets in a sextile, in this opportunity, is leaning into the gifts and offerings of each planet in each sign. Mercury in Cancer is helping us process some very personal feelings, and Mars in Taurus can lend a hand by guiding us out of any emotional spinning, by encouraging us to take the next right step forward to avoid getting lost or stunted by what has transpired through past actions. Venus in Leo is sextile, right? I told you there was a lot of sextiles, in an opportunity aspect with Uranus in Gemini. So Venus just recently entered Leo. She was in Cancer. And now that she's in Leo, she's wanting to celebrate herself and how far she has come, right? All the feelings that she was in and processing, she's now ready to kind of come out and be seen for who she knows she is now, right? She's ready to wear her crown. She's ready to rock it. She's ready to be celebrated. She's ready to lean into the heart, right? Because there was a lot of work done in the heart in Cancer season for her. And now she's wanting to take that passion, that knowingness of who she is on an emotional level, what she cares about, right? What drives her. She wants to now use that. So she has this opportunity with Uranus and Gemini. She's becoming increasingly aware of the people in her life who are not a match for her and the ones who are, right? So the ones that resonate with her heart, the ones that see her clearly, the ones that want to celebrate her, right? Those people are increasingly evident, and the ones that are not are also becoming really clear. So fake friends, right? Take off their masks and reveal themselves as Venus and Leo. Venus in Leo is clear about the value that she brings and therefore requires from those that hang out with her, right? So it's not that she doesn't notice the value around her. She very much does. A healthy Venus in Leo very much does. But she is noticing where she's not being valued and prioritized. And that is information that is definitely not able to be released at this time, right? She's very much in it. She's very much noticing it. She just got into Leo. And Uranus in Gemini gives her a chance to set the story straight about what she is and is not available for in her social engagements, right? So Uranus in Gemini, this really powerful, potent outer planet of divine insight and sacred disruption, right? Disrupting what is not real, what is not authentic, what is not for the future, right? Assisting Venus and Leo in her social life and being like, yeah, sorry, not sorry. Like, I'm not here for that. I don't have space for that. I don't have time for that. Right. And so she's kind of coming into her pride around what she is and isn't available for. Ultimately, Uranus in Gemini is guiding Venus and Leo to the quality of life and relationships that she can wear her crown in, because nobody puts baby in the corner, if you know what I mean. Venus in Leo is also squaring Chiron in Aries, and it's an out of sign square, right? Because if I say Leo and Aries, you're like, don't they trine each other? They do. But because Venus is at the first degree of Leo and Aries is at the last degree of Aries, this is closer to being a square, right? So Venus and Leo at 1 degree of Leo is forming this out of sign square to Chiron as Chiron is preparing to go into Taurus on June 19th, right? And so, not too far after the new moon on the 14th, Chiron, this symbol and presence of our soul wound, right? This archetype of the wounded healer, this energy that invites us into our deepest soul healing as well as our vulnerability, right? Is about to change signs and go into Taurus very soon. And that's why it's so close to being a square, right? Because Taurus will enter Taurus at a very early degree, and that will be that square, right? That's why we're so close. This square gives Venus and Leo a reminder of how far she has come in owning her own individuality and reclaiming her worthiness to wear the crown that she was born to wear. So Chiron in Aries is really good for her in this square. It might not feel super cozy, right? But at the same time, if you can see it for what it is, if Venus and Leo can honor, yeah, like this was really hard for me, and I still get to step forward and wear this crown of pride for who I am and who I've become. Venus and Leo is building into an opposition with Pluto in Aquarius as well. Venus in Leo is budding. I'd say it's budding, right? Because Pluto is an outer planet and a very strong, potent planet. So it doesn't take, they don't have to be at the same degree point to feel that opposition, is what I'm saying. And so Pluto being in Aquarius, this other fixed sign, right? Leo is a fixed sign. Aquarius is a fixed sign. They oppose each other. This is about Venus and Leo becoming more and more aware of who she is among the group, right? Because Aquarius represents the group. Pluto represents transforming the group, and who she is among the group so that she can come out of comparison, right? So this is about coming out of comparison, owning your full self in a group setting, and going deeper into the heart of who you really are and your willingness to be seen, right? Leo is willing to be seen, whereas Aquarius is more of the observer and wants to step back and, let someone else be seen. And so again, oppositions, they're offering us an opportunity to walk into the center where the two signs meet, right? So Aquarius and Leo are coming into the center, and Pluto overtakes Venus because Pluto is the outer planet. Pluto engulfs Venus and infuses her with this knowingness that she gets to be who she is in the group. And it's a little tense, right? Because Venus and Leo is like, I don't know, I've been here before. This hasn't worked for me before, right? There's like some doubt. But Pluto is there to help you go deep enough within yourself so that you can rise to the occasion. And so, again, could be a little bit messy, but the opposition is meant to ultimately support you in allowing yourself to be engulfed by this Pluto, this transformation, right? So that you can come out the other side in an alchemy process of owning your whole self in a group setting. Jupiter in Cancer is square Eris and Aries. So Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, right? Loves being in Cancer and has been for almost a year, and is finishing up its journey through the sign on June 29th, not far away, right? So at the end of this month, Jupiter is finishing its journey in Cancer and entering Leo on June 29th. So when an outer planet is near completion in a sign, it needs to bring the reason for the transit full circle, right? So we're officially in this witnessing of the full circle of Jupiter in Cancer and what it's really been about for us, this transit this past year. Since Jupiter really shines in the cardinal water sign of Cancer, and because we're just coming out of the Jupiter-Venus conjunction that occurred on June 9th, we are invited into holding the wholeness of who we are more unapologetically with this square with Eris in Aries. There's a new story about you that you have written, or at least were invited to write this past year, about who you have become and what it took to get there, that won't allow you to give your power away to others. So Uranus in Gemini is also sextile Neptune in Aries. So another sextile, another opportunity. Uranus in Gemini has an opportunity to work with Neptune and Aries in this very opportune way. These two outer planets both connect us with the need to surrender attachment to what is old and expired in our lives. These are two outer planets giving us this opportunity to surrender attachment. Uranus in Gemini wants us to seek new information, and Neptune in Aries wants us to lean into a personal dream that has the potential to be carried out in this lifetime. If the two lean on each other, we can put some puzzle pieces together where our big, seemingly faraway dream is concerned through being curious and seeking new information and even networking opportunities. So keep that in mind as well. Neptune in Aries, another opportunity aspect in Aquarius, in Pluto and Aquarius. The opportunity that exists between Neptune in Aries and Pluto in Aquarius is similar in the sense that both planets are wanting us to dissolve and deconstruct and break down old systems and patterns for the sake of our own bright futures that directly affect the bright future of the collective. Then we have Saturn in Aries conjunct both asteroid goddesses Pallas Athena and Vesta. So let's talk about that. Saturn in Aries is bringing complementary self-discipline to these powerhouse feminine archetypes, Pallas Athena and Vesta. Pallas Athena can't be held back in her independence, and Saturn is helping us to strengthen our boundaries around prioritizing what is coming through us on a creative level. We must not lose sight of what we are birthing into being at this time. That is the default program of our sustenance and our existence at this time. And it's important to remember nobody's urgency is your emergency, especially with Vesta involved. Vesta helps us to tether to the service of our own inner flame and not get caught up in other people's drama. Overall, with this new moon activation, we must approach life with renewed curiosity about where the future is leading our path and intentional focus on the future. So I set a lot of words in the forecast. The focus is definitely on being aware of your mind, your nervous system, how far you've gone into the overstimulation process. And it's really about coming back to yourself, right? Coming back to your curiosity about yourself, about others, and welcoming the shifts, welcoming the opportunities, right? Because the sextiles were like, whoa, there were so many of them. And that just spells out, this is a very opportune new moon, but we must take it, right? We must be intentional with the energy. So thank you so much for joining me for this new moon forecast, and keep your eyes peeled for my new moon guided meditation and energy release video. This particular one is meant to be a way to take care of yourself and really empty out that mental inbox that is like overloaded and crashing the system within you. So please do share this podcast episode with anyone you think would benefit. And I look forward to being back here talking about the full moon very soon and other astrological topics that get me excited. And yeah, be sure to comment and let me know your thoughts and what came up for you through this download. Thank you so much again, and I'll talk to you soon.